Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart, waking or sleeping, thy presence my light. Amen. As Jesus walked along, he saw a man blind from birth. Jesus sees suffering. Jesus sees isolation. Jesus sees blaming. Jesus sees judgment. In this moment, though, Jesus is focused on the work of God, the one who sent him. Jesus brings light. Jesus gets his hands in the mud to bring and restore sight. Jesus heals. As they first encounter the man born blind, the disciples have a question. Who sinned, this man or his parents? The version we read this morning makes it hard to fully hear Jesus' answer because it adds the phrase, he was born blind, which is not there in the Greek at all, and which seems to imply that God made this man blind in order to show off or to prove a point. In a more accurate translation, Jesus responds, neither this man nor his parents sinned, but in order that God's works might be revealed in him, it is necessary for us to work the works of the one who sent me. Jesus has no interest in blame or exclusion. He's inviting his followers to take part in the great merciful works of God, to upend religious presuppositions and rituals, to join him in doing a new thing. Jesus does not say I, but us, including us who are now followers of Jesus. We are called to do the works of God for the healing of the world. How can we help with healing? How can we be present in a time of suffering and isolation? What does it mean to work the works of God in a time of staying home or working from home? This is a difficult question, especially for those of us who like to be helpers, whose instinct is to go, to do something, to be with other people in a time of trouble. The columnist David Brooks this week observed that this is a time of solidarity, with a sense that we are all in this together. Some things you do not for yourself or for another, but for the common whole. Brooks continues, it will require a tenacious solidarity from all of us to endure the months ahead. We'll be stir-crazy, bored, desperate for normal human contact, but we'll have to stay home for the common good. It's an odd kind of heroism this crisis calls for. How can we respond in this challenging time which goes against so many of our instincts to care, to be there, to be helpful? Be grateful. Be grateful to all those who are working in this time. Pray with thanksgiving for those who risk their lives every day in healthcare, for those who are serving you at the grocery store or at the takeout window. Say thank you. Remind them that they matter and that we are glad that they are there. In addition, think about other ways of communicating that gratitude. A few summers ago at Calvary Camp, we had a time to make cards for people who were working to conserve and care for the environment. And we had the campers make a bunch of different cards that were directed to different people. One group was workers in the EPA, And once those were all collected, I sent them off with a cover letter randomly addressed to the EPA, no particular person, no particular office, just trying to get this message of gratitude to people working there. And a few months later, we got back a photograph and a letter from wherever those cards had landed in the EPA, a photograph of a bulletin board with all of those cards displayed, and a letter thanking us for encouraging people who do difficult work every single day. Send notes, send cards. Think about the nursing care facility or the hospital near you and say thank you to those who are working there. Be open-hearted. Be creative in ways of making and maintaining connection. Whether you are Yo-Yo Ma offering music of comfort online, or two neighborhood kids who bring their cellos and stand on the porch of an older woman who is self-isolating and make a concert for her. Stay open-hearted in ways of reaching and communicating with people. Whether it's the newer technologies of Skype and Zoom and FaceTime, or those really old school things that still work, like talking on the telephone and sending letters. All of those are ways of staying open to folks. Even, again, very simple things like sidewalk chalk. I've seen in the past few days many wonderful images of things written on sidewalks by children to brighten up their neighborhood in this time when they are at home. And here's another little secret I learned from Calvary Camp. Even teenagers will play with sidewalk chalk given the right situation. And be comforted. Be comforted, find comfort in the slower pace of life, in time with the people closest to you, in the quiet we sometimes believe we are yearning for, and which still may be hard to find in a house with children, in the opportunity to savor the coming of spring and the wonder of creation, in chances to meditate, in praying for God's presence with us, with all who serve, and with all who suffer. And above all, in remembering that nothing can separate us from the love of God, and in listening to the familiar words which help sustain us and sustain our faith. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Surely your goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.